I'm John Hayden, and let's queer up Florida and South Florida. Of all of Pride Holding Group's South Florida bars, Johnson's is the only franchising that's really surviving. But it's not exactly thriving. Now there is evidence the Wilton Manors location may be operating illegally. Consistent pattern of leaving businesses evicted, bankrupt, and decimated. That's how attorney Tom Shanahan describes Pride Holdings Group, which bought and quickly closed several LGBTQ+ bars in South Florida. Johnson's could be next. When you buy a bar, the main assets are the liquor license, the lease, and the IP, like logos, name, and more. Shanahan is among the attorneys suing Pride Holdings for breach of contract. He says the liquor license and paperwork for reporting taxes has not been switched. He told me, quote, "I don't think the state of Florida has any record that Pride Holdings Group exists in the state. They're not on any of the liquor licenses, as far as I know, and not on tax-related accounts. They're flying below the radar," end quote. Pride Holdings didn't file a business license in Florida until April, after its stock plunged to about $0.05 a share. And it still lists John Barrett, husband of former CEO Michael Barrett, as an officer, along with new CEO Tim Majors. Shanahan says, quote, "The prior owners continue to be liable for any unpaid taxes that are owed. Pride Holdings Group wouldn't be, because they aren't the owner of record in Florida." Former owner Matt Colunga, who got stock and worked for Pride Holdings for a time, is well aware of his exposure. He told me he has filed a police report in an effort to insulate himself from future liabilities. This isn't the first time Pride Holdings has neglected paperwork. The Tampa location's landlord says they were never told the business had changed hands. They also say Pride Holdings has been late with rent 4 times in a year. An eviction hearing is scheduled for later this month. All right, Pride Holdings will be in a Broward County court this Friday, August 7th, for a different case. Shanahan says if you're an employee or ex-employee who had checks bounced, or a vendor with unpaid invoices or other labor violations, please contact him at info@shanahanlaw.com or the number here on the screen, 754-701-0850. This story just keeps going on. More layers, more victims. I'm told now that a place in Key West is getting evicted or is in trouble because they were giving their rent money to the Barretts who owned Pride Holdings, or who Pride Holdings Group, who were renting the building. And now 22 and Co. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I've never been, but now they're in trouble. This story continues to just flabbergast me. And I'm going to be staying on it as the weeks go forward.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of questions in general, because I mean, I've been part of companies that got taken over by private equity fund and private equity companies, and what they've done to companies, and those companies are no longer around. So, you know, I like the fact that there's a lawsuit coming, because, you know, was there a bill of sale, or were they put in as a private equity company and they just infused money into it and gave the owners a false sense of that they were buying it? But it was really, because if they didn't register as a business, there's a lot here. There is a lot here, and that it makes, I hate to say it makes sense, but because I've been on this side from other private equity firms, you know, they load the companies with debt from other companies, take out the money that is the equity, and then close the businesses. That's what private equity firms do. So if it wasn't truly sold, then it makes sense that there's a lot of discovery that's going to happen.
Well, buying a business just to shut it down is not illegal,
correct,
per se. However, along the way, they buy these things and they put them on their website and tell investors, you can, when you buy in, you're buying into all these brands, but they're not saying that these brands are closed, at the moment defunct. I mean, I guess Aquaplex could be revived somewhere. And along the way, they have not, and along the way, they've bounced payroll checks. They have not paid rent. They have not paid, according to court documents. They have not paid vendors like cleaning companies.
Right.
So,
But that's why
that's where the real thing goes. That's where all the possible. And by the way, there are no criminal charges. These are all civil hearings at this point.
Right.
So I just want to get that clear as well.
That's why I'm questioning it, because as a former business owner, there's a lot of these things you can't do without the business license and the registration. So where were they registered? How are they registered?
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, as an employee, technically, then none of the businesses, if they weren't registered in the state of Florida, then none of those businesses were being operated legally.
I am not comfortable saying that as a journalist because I'm not familiar enough with the law, but I know that they are registered in Nevada. They finally registered as a business in Nevada in March. And they've got something where they're registered like as a foreign entity, I believe. Right. I don't understand all the different layers.
There's a lot.
So I don't really want to comment on that, but I will say there's a lot
shady
there, and shady is not a legal term, but I would say there's a lot there that is worth my time to stay on top of this story.
Absolutely.
Pride Holdings should consider changing its name to Shame Holdings. Just a suggestion.
Well, there's definitely no pride there. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.